today's show is all about time, and we've got nothing but time because we've got a ton of quick techniques from Cheryl Boglioli. So Cheryl, just like this beautiful art journal background you've brought here, you're going to show us a bunch of quick techniques you can do when you're not sure what you want to do, but you want to make something.
Exactly. And these are great backgrounds because you can just build on them when you do have time. So, but sometimes we're just in a hurry and we just want to get something, so we feel like we have that creative moment for the day. So we're going to start off. One of my favorite ways to add a background really quick is by using brayer and paint. So I'm just going to use this palette here, and I'm just going to put out some paint real quick.
It's just a bunch of different acrylic paints that you have there, and you're just playing around with different colors. And I see that you're keeping to some sort of warm tones there to make sure that everything's going to match. And there's a little hint of cool as well.
Just a little, just for some contrast.
And you have a very, very wide rubber brayer.
I do, because I want to do this quickly because we're working on time, right? So I'm just going to get some color and just really just add color wherever you want to.
And you're rolling back and forth instead of just in a single direction.
Yes, because right now I'm just putting color and I want to basically clean the brayer, paint off the brayer.
And of course you're working on top of a craft mat, which is keeping your surface nice and protected. If you didn't have a craft mat, you could use newspaper or an old piece of paper, whatever it is that you had.
You could, definitely.
And that second layer is so yummy, and I love how it mixes so that it looks different where it's over the yellow as opposed to where it's elsewhere.
And the thing with this is to go in different directions. So not only am I going back and forth with this one here, but I'm also going in different directions.
Which is very cool.
Yes. Now, one of the things everybody's always asking me is how do you get these little oval squiggles in there? So the trick to that, let me move this out of the way, is that you're just going to roll into the paint once and pick up a little bit of paint.
Oh, so it's just in the center of your brayer as opposed to distributed across it.
Correct. And so when I roll that across, I just get.
How
so
cool.
that's done. And then you can pick up some more.
Just like that. So you get to control it. I love that. So look at that. One background down already.
All ready to go.
What's next?
All right, so the next thing that we can do is we can use quick and easy baby wipe.
I think a baby wipe says cleaning things up.
Well, we can also use it to add paint. So we've got some paint out here already. So I can take this and just do a real quick wash.
Of course, because the baby white is nice and wet, so it thins your paint. It adds a little bit to it.
Yep. Yep. So I could do and just add as much as I wanted and just continue to add different colors. And I could put the paint right on the baby wipe. It'll be brighter.
Super cool. And then again, in no time at all, you're able to pull together a really quick background. And one of the things that I love about making backgrounds is you never have to worry about whether they're attractive. You just kind of make them, it's done, you've had your creative moment, and then you're ready to move on to the next one.
So that was using a little bit of paint. So another thing that you can do is to use, we're going to use some mists. So we can use a stencil. And I'm gonna get a second piece of paper here, move these baby wipes right out of the way. And just very quickly, we're going to mist right over the stencil onto our paper.
So you're keeping things about, I would say, pretty close, like maybe 4 inches away or something like that, getting some nice coverage.
And if you want a real even mist, just start off the page and keep your hand moving.
I noticed that your hand was moving the whole time.
And that way you'll get a real nice even coat. But there's still yummy ink on top of the stencil, so I'm gonna pick the stencil up and just move it over here and lay it down.
And you know, one of the things is if you're working in a journal like this one, and I noticed that you have a page where you did this, you can actually just close the journal. Just close it, and then you get the 2 different sides at the same time. And if you go ahead and pull that up now, we can see how you've gotten the positive and the negative. And if you give me a baby wipe, I'm gonna teach you a little trick.
Oh, okay.
Which I hope you'll enjoy. So one of the things that I often like to do is I will take a baby wipe and I want to be clean with my spraying, so I spray it into there. And may I have a stencil, please? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this basically now as an applicator, and I'm simply going to rub, and you get a very nice watercolor look that's a little bit more controlled. And again, no mess, super easy. Great way to do a quick background. I know. But now you said we're going to use actually a dry media, right? We're moving on to some pastels.
Yes.
Okay, let me clean this up for you.
All right.
So you have all those bright candy colored pastels. I can see them right there. And pastels are kind of like, I would say, a more intense chalk maybe. Would you say that that's the way that they are? Okay.
And they can be chalky, but you just have to work them in. So we could just real quickly do a quick wash on the whole background here. And
you're just using a pastel applicator tool that's like a little foam piece, I think, on the edge of what's essentially a plastic palette knife to apply. Again, look at this quick background coming together with lots of yummy color. And I love the varied look you're getting by when you start to run out of pastel, it starts to get a soft and a stressed
just
look.
keep going.
Exactly.
So now I'm going to add a stencil over on the top of it. And let's just add a real contrasting bright color here. So it's going to
Oh, yummy.
Now be real careful with stencils because you don't want to rub real hard.
Why?
Because you're going to tear up the foam on the applicator. So a lot of times I'll pat a little bit first and then just do a real light, gentle rub across it. And then that way you don't mess it up. So
that's so cool. And look at that. You've got your 2 layers.
Yes. Okay.
And of course, I know one of the coolest tricks about pastels that I just have to share.
All right.
Because I have a little pencil here, and I just think this is really neat. Pastels will erase. So I'm just using the eraser on a mechanical pencil, and you can see I can do this circle. I can pull out and do a shape of some kind or anything like that. But again, this is a great way of creating a really, really easy background. So fun, so incredibly fast, right?
Good.
Okay, so now I know that you're saying we've got even more to do, right? Because now we're gonna be using some watercolor crayons.
Yes, these make you feel like a little kid again, because you remember you're always so excited to get your new box of crayons when you were little?
Yes.
So I am too, so I'm just gonna randomly...
By the way, I always wanted the really big box. My mom was like, how about 12 crayons? And I was like, no, how about 164?
I want them all, I know.
Exactly.
And they were all lined up in a nice little row. So these are fun, because you can really just crayon and just color, and I can very quickly get a background covered.
Now, of course, with regular crayons, you could do this too, just to create a background. It's just that the watercolor crayons are going to do something super cool because they're watercolor.
These are going to activate with water. So if I take just a little bit of water here, and then we can brush, and it's going to turn into a watercolor background.
And you know what I like is that depending how much water you add, you either end up getting rid of the lines, or if you don't add a lot, you get to keep the lines. Because I like seeing the hand of the artist. I really like seeing that motion. How about you?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I want a real smooth motion, so I get a little bit of both. So those we did very more washed out, and here we could just kind of leave the lines on that one and just blend it on out.
Very cool, and that's another immediately quick background. But I know that you actually have another last technique that you told me that you want to share.
So the last technique that we have, we can take crumpled up newspaper, I'm going to use deli paper today, copy paper, paper bag, anything like that, and we're just going to get some paint out real quick, and you're just going to dip it in there, and this will give you a fun little
so cool, so
background.
fast, so easy. Oh my gosh, Cheryl, look how many backgrounds we made in no time at all. That's so amazing.